Hello and welcome to my session. Welcome to my session um, at this year's festive tech calendar. I have the pleasure to talk about Microsoft Defender for Office and authenticated email. A little about what I'll be covering in this session here in terms of email and email security. We'll have a brief look on the threats that we often encounter in terms of email. Why authenticated email is important, going into how we can use the Defender for Office and some of the features in Defender for Office to help secure our organization, and then a little around the awareness that is also very important here, and last a little conclusion at the end. A little about me. My name is Peter Smith. I work as a cloud and security architect based out of Denmark for my own company, New Consulting. Um, I'm a Microsoft MVP and 365 apps and services, and I'm a Microsoft Certified Master in Exchange, and I'm also a Microsoft Certified Trainer. You can follow me on LinkedIn and the X, formerly known as Twitter network, or on my blog as well. In Denmark, I'm heavily involved in the Microsoft community with Workplace Ninja, which is a community I run with a couple of other fellow community members, and we're doing monthly meetups with the focus on modern workplace and security around the modern workplace as well. So let's dive into the agenda here. And let's try and understand the threats that we are facing in terms of emails nowadays. A lot of the email threats we are facing out there is, of course, phishing attacks, where we often see fraudulent emails that are trying to trick users into revealing personal information or have them click a malicious link, or we also see malicious attachment being sent to our end users. So a lot of these can often end up in ransomware attacks. We also see business email compromise, where the email is apparent to be sending from a legitimate source, such as a CEO or CFO, and it's them trying to trick employees at the company to make maybe fraudulent payments, or maybe even reveal sensitive information and so on. Um, some of the latest kind of emails that we've been seeing out there is emails that is being sent to users in the organization that actually includes a QR code and is trying to trick the end users into scanning that code and then logging in with the sign-in information of their organization account, and trying to basically catch that token. Um, and those QR codes is some of the newer feature sets that were recently announced from the Microsoft side that is being included in the Microsoft Defender network as well. Next important one here is to talk about authenticated email and why that is very important in trying to secure our email domain for against spoofing and so on. There are several techniques and methods to actually trying to enforce and protect your domain. One of them, or the first one, which is also the one presented when trying to configure a domain in Microsoft 365, is the Sender Policy Framework, also known as the SPF record. The SPF record will include all the email IP addresses and all the domains or servers that is allowed to send email on behalf of your email domain. Thereby, it's also including like in this example, the protection.outlook.com, which is the Microsoft 365. So in our example here, we see we have an include for Salesforce, we have an include for SPF protection.outlook.com, and some IP addresses. This means that in the example here, we allow that our domain can be used from these IP addresses that is allowed to send on behalf of our domain, and also Microsoft 365, of course, and then Salesforce can actually send emails out with our email as an alias. And thereby we have pre-approved the sources that can send on behalf of us, and thereby minimize if they end up in quarantine and so on. That's a way of validating that the email is actually coming from our tenant or our organization. Another method is also using the DKIM, which is basically a value that is included, or a form of signature that's included within the email that is being sent out. So we're putting this DKIM record into our DNS, just as we do with the SPF record, and thereby when an email is sent out, then it includes a signature in the email, and whoever receives that email can then look up in the DKIM record in DNS and confirm the other public part of that signature, that the email actually came from our organization, even if it's sent from Salesforce, then where they can have their DKIM record, or if it's the Microsoft 365 where we can have another DKIM record. It's still a way of validating all this. SPF and DKIM then goes hand in hand with our DMARC record. With the DMARC, we are setting the policy for the specific domain. So the receiving servers can then look up the DMARC record, and within the DMARC record, they can see the policy that we have set here. So we have different policies, which is identified by the P equal, and in this example, it's reject. So if we have set the policy to reject, it means that the receiving servers will automatically reject emails coming from us, unless it's compliant with what we have put in the SPF or the DKIM records previously. Also included in the DMARC record is some reporting addresses. So there's some statistics that goes back to the DMARC services that has been put into to the reporting here. And this is often in scenarios where, of course, you can use an email address, but most often I see that organizations are using third-party reporting tools to actually catch all the information coming up or going back here, and that gives us a good way of monitoring all the emails and to monitor our email domains. Especially if you have more domains, it's a good way to get the overview, to see if some of these domains is actually being spoofed, or if there is mails being sent out from servers and systems that we, for some reason, did not include in our SPF record already. We can then use that DMARC reporting tools to actually get an overview and make sure they are included in a proper way. Next off here is the Microsoft Defender for Office. The Defender for Office is our email security platform in Microsoft 365, and if we have a look at the some of the latest from either Forrester or some of the other um, like SE Labs that reviews a lot of these email security services out there, we definitely see that Microsoft is among the leaders in the email security market, and has been for a couple of years now. So it definitely means that we are in very good hands in terms of our email security platform and all the feature set that's available in the email security platform we see with the Defender for Office. So how does the Microsoft Defender for Office actually fit in with all the rest of the Defender products? As you can see from this high level overview here, we have a lot of Defender products available in the portfolio, but if we briefly drill down into the Defender for Office, this is the bit where we are protected against emails coming in, the like phishing emails, attachment included in an email, but also links that we receive in email. So if we have a user clicking one of the URLs in an email and trying to browse that website, it's actually picked up by the Defender for Office and then goes through a sort of a proxy where that URL is identified and scanned to make sure it's legit, and if it's not, it's informing the end users that it could be a potential website for something malicious, and thereby blocking the access, or at least asking the user if they are sure that they want to go to that URL. Along with the Defender for Office, it's tied well together with the Microsoft 365 Defender portal and platform we have in Microsoft 365 security. So if we want to drill down in all the alerts and we see whatever we see coming into Defender for Office, we have a lot of that available within the security platform of the Microsoft 365 Defender. And then we can tie that even more together with the a SIEM product like the Microsoft Sentinel. And with that we can enable some automation and so on. So from the complete high level, we can have a look into the Exchange Online Protection and the Microsoft Defender for Office components that we have available. From the bottom, we see basically what is happening post delivery, and from the top we see emails and how they are entered into our organization. So we have a lot of the advanced feature sets of the Defender for Office available within the Sender Intelligence, content filtering, and especially also in the post-delivery protection. And it's different components depending on the licensing we have. A lot of the basic stuff here is actually basic Exchange Online Protection features, which is available in all licenses of Microsoft 365, or at least whenever we have a mailbox available. So basic spam protection and so on is available here. Next up, we have the Microsoft Defender for Office features. We have two different plans here. We have the plan 1 and the plan 2. They can be bought individually, but they also part of the let's say the E5 plan or the E5 security add-on and so on. And this is where we get the advanced features such as safe links, safe attachment, and real-time detections. We get the feature sets such as attack simulations, automated investigations response. We can drill down into threat exploring or advanced hunting and so on within the Defender portal. To get the complete and full overview of each of these individual feature sets that's available, I won't drill down into each and every one of these, but it's available within the documentation of the Defender for Office, and this illustration here actually gives a very good illustration of the differences within each of the license schemes that we have available here. Some of the interesting feature sets of the Defender for Office that you get with the Plan E or Plan 1 is the simplified configuration. With the simplified configuration, it's easy to get started and use templated policies within your Microsoft Defender for Office. So it's a good way of getting started with Defender for Office, but it's actually also a good way to review your existing Defender for Office configuration. So with these preset security policies, we can choose some different levels on how much we want to protect our whole organization, or maybe just a subset of users within our organization. Together with a lot of these within Defender for Office, we get a good amount of reporting, and if we also have the P2 license, we have some awareness and training available that we can use for our end users as well. Looking into the configuration analyzer, along with the preset security policies here, we also have something named the configuration analyzer. And with the configuration analyzer, we can take an existing organization already running Defender for Office and have a good quick review of our current settings and match them against the Microsoft recommendations that Microsoft put out there in terms of the MDO. There's also, for those who are love to do a lot of this using scripting or PowerShell, we have the Orca module available for PowerShell, which basically does the same, just in PowerShell. But they're both basically available as well within the portal. And together with these, we have a history available as well. So if we do changes within our Defender configuration, we can see when these changes were done, what setting we were running previously, and who actually did the change. So if we go one step back here and have a look at those preset security policies that's available, we have the basic built-in protection policies. But together with that, we have something called standard protection and strict protection as well. And we can combine these as multiple policies within our organization. So in terms of trying to make a more strict protection for as an aggressive profile for selected users, like high value target or priority users within your organization, we can actually enable this strict protection policy within the preset security policies, and then add those high value target users within your organization into this profile, and then they will be protected by this new policy. And then we can have the standard protection policy set in place, which is a more baseline for most of the suitable users in your organization. And whoever is not hit by that will then be hit eventually by the built-in protection policies. Along with that, it's actually also possible to add even more policies to your organization, such as custom security policies here. So in case you have multiple policies like that in place, there will be an order of precedence of these security policies when email comes in, and or how our end users is protected. So the strict one kicks in first, and then we have the standard preset security policies, which is next on the list, and then we have the default ones, and lastly we have these custom policies based on priority of each of the individual policies that we have set in place. As mentioned earlier, we also have the configuration analyzer. Um, it's a great tool to actually identify issues within the current policies, or actually also identifying the configuration and matching that towards the Microsoft recommended practices, especially towards the standard recommendations or leaning towards the more strict recommendations. And whatever you then choose to change within the configuration analyzer, you'll be able to find a history log going 3 months back within the configuration drift analyzer and history pane within the portal here. So that's a good way of always going back and monitoring who did the change and when and what was the change done from and what is the change now. Together with that, looking into our MDO configuration, in terms of email and email security, it's important to always understand all your requirements and not just lean towards the recommended practices, but also understand your own environment here, because not all settings are specific suitable for all situations. So you need to have a good understanding on the requirements that you have within your organization. And if there are any exceptions, make sure they are documented well so that your fellow colleagues and admins understand why a setting might not be set according to the standard practices of or recommendations from Microsoft, but there might be a good reason for doing some exceptions here. Make sure that it's documented well. And also make sure all your email domains is included in the MDO policies here. And that's a good way to make sure that all your email domains is protected by the policies that you put in place here. Other features which is important in terms of showing our end users how they can be protected is the safety tip. It's one of the settings within the impersonation settings in our policies. So when we receive an email from the outside, we as the end user actually get a sort of a warning tag on the email telling us that you don't often get email from this recipient coming in from the internet. And that's just a way of telling us that we received an email from a new recipient or from a person that we don't often receive email from. So we have to be cautious about the email that we just received. Another way is also that we can enable the external sender tag. I've seen a lot of organizations actually doing that by including a mail header within the email. But another way is actually enable that on tenant level, so we see that available within our Outlook, no matter if we are using it on the phone or in the desktop or in the web. We see a sort of an external tag showing us that this email actually came from the external side or from the internet. And then again, we as the end users have to be a bit more cautious about what is included or required of us regarding the information in that email. So it's as a lot of security here. It's not just set and forget. So we have to go back to our Defender for Office and run it like a small SecOps teams here. Microsoft has some recommendation within the docs how we can monitor these both with daily tasks and weekly tasks. We have to go into the M365 Defender portal and follow up if we have any incident or alerts that is being queued up within the reportings, and we have to review whatever campaigns we might be running. If we have been running attack simulation campaigns or anything against our end users, then we have to review these on a daily basis. And next off is something that will be on a weekly basis, and that's more like the reviewing some of the reports that come up here. So how is mail flow? How is the threat protection status? The threat analytics, review our top targeted users in the organization. All that is available within the reports in the M365 dashboard or portal in here. So it's definitely recommended to spend time to go back and have a look at that. But let's have a quick look at the MDO preset policies and the configuration analyzer that I mentioned before here. We have to go into the Microsoft Defender portal. And within the Defender portal, under the email and collaboration, we find something named the policy and rules, which is available here. And in here, we have different policies available, which are all in regards to email security, such as anti-phishing, anti-spam, anti-malware, safe attachments, safe links, and so on. But the features that I talked about before, like the preset security policy and the configuration analyzer, is located here at the top. First off, if we go into the preset security policies, we find the three different policy types available in here. We have the built-in protection, which we can only add a few exclusions to. And then we have the standard protection, which we can enable or disable. And then we have the strict policy, which is, in my case now, enabled. And then we can decide who is our high-value recipients within our organization that we want to protect. I have selected these two now. And we want to enable those for impersonation protection as well. And that's why they are now included in here. We could also select that based on a certain domain. And when this is done, we need to confirm that. So now these two users, in our case here, is enabled for strict protection. If we go a step back and have a look at the configurations that is done within our tenant here, we can use the configuration analyzer to review this. We have different settings or recommendations, even on the standard recommendation, or we can measure it against the strict recommendations here. And if we want to see what has been changed, we can go back and select certain dates on when changes might have happened here. And we can see we've added some changes over time. And we can see who did the change and what the change was done from. So we had an anti-spam setting here that was changed from nothing to now that it's quarantining the email messages in this case. Next up is awareness user training. So it's also very important that we have a look at end user awareness. So end user awareness is as equal a part of email security as the configurations we're doing in Defender for Office or the product that we're using for email security. It's very important for us to train the end users in the organization as well, because the users need to be aware of the kind of email that is coming in and being cautious about the emails so they can make sure they are not clicking on the wrong email, or if something looks like a phishing mail, because what we often see is that the end users is one of the weakest link in the security chain here. So this kind of awareness training is very much important in terms of end user security, and it can also help to create a sort of security culture for the users in general. So do some kind of awareness training for the end users, so they are aware of these emails that is coming in. Try to keep the training short and engaging to and make sure it's tested properly, and not just run this training once, but go back and run this training multiple times over a year, so the end users is always on top and always aware of these kind of trainings. If we have the plan 2 license SKUs of the Defender for Office, we have the attack simulations included within the Defender for Office, where we can set up campaigns and simulation, target specific users in different languages, and then automate these campaigns. There are a lot of different uh, trainings available. So do we want to do a training which is target the end users for credential harvesting, or how a malware attachment look, or if it's a link to a specific attachment or so. We can choose these different training scenarios within the attack simulations. And by running these different trainings, we can then, as the admins, go back and have a look at the inside reports and see how those trainings has run, and see where our organizations are and how much they actually learn based off of the training that we're putting out there. Another great way is also based on the awareness training that we have for the end users is also have them trained to report these suspect or suspicious emails back to us. So deploy the report message button from the Microsoft app source to Outlook, and that makes it available within Outlook, so the end users can easily click an email that they have received and then click this button within Outlook, and the email will then be reported back to the admins, where we can identify the email and set it maybe as a false positive. We can even report it back to Microsoft. But overall, it gives the admin a great overview of the emails that the end users actually receive, and then we can react based on that. So to follow up here, some of the best practices. Don't just follow the recommendations, but that we see from Microsoft. Of course, they're great recommendations, and you should follow them as much as you can. But I know there's always different environments out there. So consider how your own environment look. Have a good overview of the architectural design and mail flow of your environment and your email domains, and then lean that towards the recommendations from Microsoft. Make sure you use the standards that we have out there, like SPF and DKIM and DMARC. Also make sure you enable DNSSEC, and make sure you do it for all the domains you have out there. Common mistakes is that the DMARC needs SPF and DKIM to succeed here. Again, it's important that we have as much of this configured correctly, and not just some of it. And make sure you have the DMARC reports configured as well, and also follow up based on these reports, because otherwise it really doesn't matter. In terms of the Defender for Office, use the preset policies, or if you're already running it, use the configuration analyze to review your settings, and do it regularly, because it keeps monitoring against the recommendations based on Microsoft. And as mentioned earlier, the end user awareness and the end user training is really important here. So it could be that you're using third party tools for doing these type of awareness training. it could be okay, great. If you have the licenses for it, use the attack simulations that is available within the MDO, and then follow some of the SecOp tasks that's available in the MDO documentation. Follow it daily and weekly to keep on track of your email security. And that's one way to improve your organization email security is to follow these practices and especially prioritize the end user awareness here. So I can definitely recommend to follow up on that, or if you haven't started yet, start now. And that's all I had in this session for now. And thank you very much for following my session, and thank you very much for supporting the Festive Tech Calendar. Thanks.